You carry a power inside you, a fire that never truly fades. It may flicker, it may grow faint, but it never disappears. It stays there, waiting. And then, when you least expect it, a moment, a thought, or a challenge becomes the spark that feeds it again. You might think you already understand your limits, that you've defined the edges of your strength. But the truth is, what you see is only the surface. Beneath it lies a deep ocean of untapped strength and unrealized potential. There's a part of you that doesn't break. Not truly. It might go silent. It might feel far away, but it's never gone. That version of you that kept moving when everything felt dark, it's still here. And whether you realize it or not, you've only touched a fraction of what you can actually do. Most people spend their lives stuck in a version of themselves that doesn't even come close to their real power. They accept limits that were never meant to define them. But what if those limits were never real? What if the doubts, the fears, the setbacks, they weren't reflections of who you are, but challenges meant to awaken what's already within you? You think you've discovered your limits. You haven't. Because beneath the noise of overthinking and self-doubt, there's a deeper version of you, calm, focused, unshaken, and that version is built on the kind of inner strength the Stoics described. Not loud, not flashy, just steady, grounded, and real. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Today, we're going deeper, beyond surface-level ideas, to that real strength. And if any part of you feels ready to stop doubting and start becoming, then stay with me. This might be the spark that reignites everything. One small favor. If this speaks to you, if this feels like the kind of space you want to grow in, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you think. Now, let's get into it. Why do you doubt yourself? Not because you're incapable, not because something is broken within you, but because somewhere along the way, you forgot how much you've already endured and how much you've quietly overcome. Doubt doesn't come from weakness. It comes from disconnection, from losing touch with the part of you that has been showing up every single day, without applause, without permission, without validation. That part of you that got out of bed when everything felt heavy. That kept going when your mind was screaming, "Stop." That smiled at others while silently carrying the weight of everything inside. Most people never recognize that strength within themselves, not because it isn't there, but because they've been conditioned not to see it. You weren't born doubting yourself, you learned it over time like a second language. It crept in slowly, through subtle messages to play it safe, to stay small, to not expect too much. Maybe it started at school, at home, or by watching others get judged for standing out. It wasn't your fault, but now it's your responsibility to unlearn it. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So what have you been practicing? Doubting yourself? Overthinking? Playing small? But even beneath all that noise, there's always been another voice. A quieter one. It doesn't shout. It speaks softly, but at the right moments. It shows up when everything else goes quiet. The voice that reminds you, this isn't all I am. I'm meant for more than this. Have you ever sat in silence and felt it rising? Not ego, but truth. And if that voice has survived all the times you tried to silence it with fear and overthinking, then the strength behind it has survived too. You've endured more than you give yourself credit for. Moments where quitting would have been easier, nights where you carried storms inside and still showed up the next day like everything was fine. That's not weakness, that's resilience, that's strength, that's proof. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Even in silence, you've been choosing. And those choices are shaping who you are becoming. The real problem isn't a lack of confidence, it's a lack of remembering. You've forgotten your own evidence, forgotten the strength hidden in those quiet, unrecognized days where you kept going, You adapted. You healed piece by piece. You moved forward even when nothing made sense. That kind of strength doesn't vanish. It just gets ignored. We ignore it because we've been trained to trust criticism more than capability. Compliments get brushed aside, achievements get minimized, and over time, a quiet belief forms, I'm not enough, even when reality proves otherwise. The unexamined life isn't worth living, but an unexamined self is where most suffering begins. If you never pause to reflect on everything you've already overcome, how can you believe in what you're capable of next? There was a time when you felt unstoppable, not because life was perfect, but because you were connected to something real within you. Maybe it was childhood, running freely, speaking without fear, or maybe it was a brief moment during a struggle when something inside you stood strong and steady. That wasn't ego, that was clarity. That was you. That spark didn't disappear. It didn't burn out. It just got buried under opinions you never asked for, criticism you didn't deserve, failures you misinterpreted, and the noise of life, the pressure, the expectations. It all made it harder to hear yourself. But understand this clearly. You didn't lose your fire. You just stopped feeding it. And real fire, the kind that lives within you, doesn't die easily. It doesn't vanish after one setback or even 100. It withdraws. It waits. It stays alive beneath the surface until you're ready to remember it was never gone. All it takes is a decision. Not a loud, dramatic one, but a quiet, firm choice to believe again. Not in some perfect version of yourself, but in the core that has always been there. Your vision becomes clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens. That feeling of invincibility you once had, it wasn't an illusion. It was your heart speaking clearly before the world gave you reasons to doubt. So maybe it's time to stop searching for validation outside and start recognizing yourself from within. You're not starting from zero. You're returning. You're not broken. You're buried beneath stories that were never yours to carry. Let them go. Reconnect with that voice, the one that doesn't need to be loud to be certain, the one that quietly says, I'm not finished, I'm just remembering. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. Noise isn't power. It often hides insecurity. Real strength moves quietly. It doesn't need attention because it's focused on building. True confidence isn't loud. It's calm, steady, and unaffected by who's watching. It doesn't create scenes. It creates progress. You've been taught that if no one sees it, it doesn't matter. That if it isn't shared, it didn't happen. But that's not growth, that's performance. Confidence isn't about proving, it's about knowing. And when you truly know, you don't need applause. You just keep showing up, day after day. When there's no spotlight, no recognition, no cheering, just you and the work, that's where real power is built. The measure of a man is what he does with power. But more importantly, what you do when no one is watching, because eventually the world will notice. But the first person who needs to notice is you. So if you're building something and nobody sees it yet, good. Let them miss it. Let them overlook you. Let your silence confuse them. Let your discipline unsettle them. One day they'll ask how you did it. But by then, the answer will already exist in your results. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start when I'm ready? Maybe you never said it out loud, but you felt it. That you need more confidence, more experience, more preparation before you take action. But readiness isn't something you wait for. It doesn't arrive like a guest knocking on your door. It's something you create, not by thinking, but by doing. You don't become ready and then act. You act, and through that action, you become ready. Every person you admire, every story that inspired you, they didn't begin with certainty. They started with hesitation, with fear. The difference is, they didn't let that fear stop them. They moved forward anyway. And in that movement, they became who they were meant to be. We learn by doing, not by waiting, not by doubting, but by stepping into the very thing that scares us. Fear is clever. It disguises itself as logic. It tells you to wait, to be practical, to prepare more, to seek approval, to gather more information. But what if that's just fear speaking in a convincing voice? What if that hesitation isn't protecting you? It's holding you back. Because your future self, the one who is more grounded, more capable, more fulfilled, isn't waiting for the perfect moment. It's calling you forward right now, from the very place where you feel the most uncertain. So if you feel fear, that's a good sign. It means you're alive. It means you're close to something that matters. Discomfort isn't a warning to stop, it's a signal. It shows you're standing at the edge of growth, right between who you are and who you're becoming. And you don't wait to feel worthy of that transformation, you act your way into it. Worthiness isn't given, it's built in uncertainty, in the decisions you make when nothing feels guaranteed. You don't discover confidence and then take action. You step forward feeling scared and unprepared, and through repeated action, confidence is formed. Every time you tell yourself, "I can't," your nervous system listens. It doesn't question you or check for accuracy. It accepts it and begins shaping itself around that belief. Your body tightens, your breathing shifts, your expectations shrink. And if you repeat it enough, it stops being just a thought. It becomes a pattern. One your actions begin to follow automatically. That's the subtle danger of doubt. It doesn't come loudly. It speaks in quiet, casual ways. Maybe I'm not made for this. I've never been good at that. It's probably too late for me. It sounds like your own voice. It feels logical, but it's fear in disguise, slipping in unnoticed by pretending to be reasonable. But what if you started treating your thoughts as suggestions instead of facts? What if you questioned them with curiosity instead of reacting with fear? Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Most people are guided by thoughts they never chose, never examined, never challenged. They were absorbed from teachers, parents, culture, voices that became internal before you even realized you could question them. So the next time your mind says, "You're not enough," pause. Don't accept it instantly. Ask yourself, where is that coming from? Is it an exhausted version of you speaking? Or an old voice from the past still echoing inside you? Because once you recognize the source, its control begins to weaken. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. You are the thinker, not the thought. And that gives you power, not to control every thought that appears, but to decide which ones stay, which ones you build your life around. Your mind is a space, an important one. And like any space, it collects clutter. Doubt, fear, shame, they pile up if left unattended. But you can clear it. You can create order by being intentional, by replacing noise with clarity, assumptions with questions, judgment with understanding. Your power begins the moment you stop being an echo and start becoming the editor, the one who chooses what stays and what changes. You scroll, you watch, you see others achieving, building, shining in carefully captured moments, and without even realizing it, you begin to shrink, not physically, but internally. You compare their wins to your doubts, their milestones to your struggles, their highlights to your reality. And suddenly, it feels like you're falling behind in a race you never meant to enter. But here's the truth. Comparison steals more than just joy. It takes your focus, your gratitude, your momentum, and replaces them with anxiety, envy, and a quiet feeling of not being enough. And most of it isn't even real. You're comparing your full experience to someone else's edited version, your struggles to their polished results. It's not a fair comparison. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed a good life wasn't defined by what you have, but by how you live. And they warned against tying your worth to things outside your control, especially other people's progress. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Yet every time you measure yourself against someone else, you give away a piece of your peace. But you're not behind. You're on your own path, one with its own timing, its own rhythm, its own lessons. You were never meant to follow someone else's timeline. Every person has their own purpose, their own direction. Trying to copy someone else's journey is like expecting a tree to grow like a flower. It's not wrong, it's just not what you're meant to be. The only real comparison is with who you were yesterday. Are you learning, growing, trying, even a little? Then you're not failing, you're evolving. And growth measured in awareness and small steps is far more meaningful than any moment of attention online. What you need right now isn't more motivation, it's remembrance. Not another speech or mantra, but a quiet reflection on everything you've already survived. Because if you truly looked back, you'd see how much you've carried and overcome. The days that nearly broke you, but didn't. The nights filled with doubt where you still woke up and kept going. That's your real proof, not titles or numbers, but persistence. Resilience isn't something a few people are born with. It's a choice made again and again. It's continuing when things don't make sense. When everything inside you says, stop, and you respond, not yet. It's built through exhaustion, shaped through fear, and proven through failure. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. You are stronger than you feel, not because someone said it, but because you've lived it. You've shown strength in moments no one saw, the kind that isn't shared or recognized, the kind that happens quietly, in difficult moments you thought you wouldn't survive, but did. That's where confidence is formed, not in recognition or applause, but in your ability to rise again. One more time, after life pushes you down, confidence isn't created in easy moments, it's earned in the dark. Your mind is both your battleground and your refuge. It can multiply chaos or create clarity. It doesn't just hold your thoughts, it shapes your future. And often, it's not the problems themselves that defeat you, but the way you interpret them. The story you tell yourself, the assumptions, the fear, that's where everything begins to spiral. The unexamined life is not worth living. But what about the thoughts you never examine? The quiet phrases you repeat without noticing, I'm not ready. They're better than me. This always happens to me. Left unchecked, these thoughts become the script you live by. Not because they're true, but because they're familiar. But you can take control. You can decide what enters and what stays. You can become the gatekeeper of your mind, the one who questions, filters, and rewrites. It begins with awareness, creating space between what happens and how you respond, between a thought and the belief you give it. Start examining your beliefs, not to judge them, but to understand them. Where did they come from? Who gave them to you? Do they reflect truth or just old conditioning? People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. Facing your own mind is where real freedom begins. It's not a glamorous process, but it is a liberating one. Clean up the way you speak to yourself. Talk to yourself like someone you're responsible for. Write things down, not to impress yourself, but to understand yourself clearly. Stop writing what you wish were true and start writing what actually is, so you can move toward what can become. Don't just consume content, Train your mind with intention. Practice how you think. Practice awareness. Practice replacing what no longer serves you. A trained mind doesn't panic when challenges appear. It pauses. It doesn't react to every opinion. It filters. It doesn't obsess over control. It searches for clarity. A trained mind won't remove every problem from your life, but it will protect you from the worst ones, the ones you create within. You've been tying your worth to outcomes, to results, numbers, approval. You've treated achievements like mirrors, hoping they would reflect back the validation you've been chasing. And when they didn't, you started shrinking, believing that if the result wasn't enough, you weren't either. But outcomes can be misleading. They don't tell the full story. They're shaped by timing, luck, and factors outside your control. If you build your identity on them, you'll always feel unstable. One success will never feel like enough, and one failure will feel final. You'll stay trapped, chasing worth from things that were never meant to define you. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't measure life by wins or praise. They measured it by alignment, by whether actions came from integrity instead of impulse. Real power was never in the result, but in the process. Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather wish that what happens happen the way it happens. Then you will be at peace. This isn't weakness, it's clarity. You are not your victories, and you are not your failures. You are who you choose to be in both. You are the effort, not the echo, the decision, not the outcome. Detachment is often misunderstood. People assume it means not caring, but real detachment means you care deeply without collapsing when things don't go your way. You give your best, you commit fully, but you don't allow the outcome to define your worth. That's not indifference, that's control. You can love something and still release the result. You can give everything and still remain steady if it doesn't work out. That kind of strength doesn't break when circumstances change because it's rooted internally. Growth doesn't come from one dramatic moment. It doesn't arrive like a scene from a movie where everything suddenly shifts. Real change is built through small, honest actions repeated over time. You don't need to see the entire path. You just need to take the next step, the one in front of you, the one that feels difficult but real. Courage isn't always loud or heroic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's saying no when you want to be accepted. Sometimes it's writing one honest sentence when doubt tells you to stop. Sometimes it's simply getting out of bed and facing the day when everything inside you wants to disappear. The greatest victory is to conquer yourself. That victory doesn't happen all at once. It's built through small, consistent choices to act with truth, even when fear is louder. You don't create a new identity in a single moment. You build it by showing up as someone slightly stronger than you were yesterday. And each time you do, something shifts. You begin to see yourself differently, not as someone who always doubts, but as someone who moves forward anyway. Once you start seeing yourself as capable, even in small ways, everything begins to change. Identity shapes action, and action reinforces identity. It becomes a cycle, and it's one you control. Who are you when no one is watching? When there's no reward, no recognition, no applause waiting for you, just you, your choices, and silence. That's where real self-respect is formed. Not in the spotlight, but in private moments. Not when you're performing, but when you're simply living with quiet honesty. It's easy to appear strong when people are watching. It's easy to speak well when there's applause. But real transformation happens when you choose what's right, even when no one will ever know. When your actions align with your values, not because others might see, but because you see. That awareness becomes your guide. Your habits shape your inner world. The things you repeatedly do in silence define who you become. You don't build trust in yourself by talking. You build it through consistency, by keeping the promises you make to yourself when no one is there to hold you accountable. That quiet discipline, that loyalty to your own principles, is where unshakable self-respect is created. When you learn to show up without needing validation, your strength becomes internal. You stop performing, you stop proving, you simply become. And once that happens, even the loudest criticism fades into background noise, temporary and powerless. Stop shrinking yourself. Stop hiding parts of who you are just to make others comfortable. And stop apologizing for your ambition, for wanting more, for reaching further, for standing in your truth. Ambition isn't something to hide. It isn't arrogance. It's clarity. It's the inner understanding that you're meant for something meaningful. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that striving makes you selfish, that confidence makes you threatening. But that was never about you. That was about their limits, not yours. Real humility doesn't mean making yourself smaller. It means staying grounded. It means using your strengths with grace, not hiding them. To find yourself, think for yourself. True humility isn't silence, it's confidence without the need to dominate. Courage isn't noise, it's presence. It's choosing to live in alignment with what matters, even when it's difficult, even when it's unpopular. You don't need attention, but you do need to stop acting like your voice doesn't matter. You weren't meant to disappear into the background. You were meant to contribute, to build, to express, to represent integrity in a world full of noise. That doesn't require aggression or showing off. It requires grounding. It requires intention. It requires living with quiet strength and standing by your values with calm certainty. You don't need praise to be powerful. You don't need recognition to be significant. Your worth is not measured by applause. It's measured by how consistently you show up for what truly matters. Fear isn't your enemy. It never was. What holds you back isn't fear itself. It's how you respond to it, how much you believe it without question, how often you let it control your decisions without examining it. Fear becomes a problem only when you give it control without asking where it's leading you. It grows stronger in silence, in the things you avoid, in the stories you never challenge. So challenge it, sit with it, question it. Ask yourself what you're actually afraid of. Be specific. Is it failure, being misunderstood, starting over? Most fears aren't life-threatening, they're ego-threatening. They're about discomfort, uncertainty, and losing control of how you're perceived. But that's exactly where growth exists. Where your fear is, there is your task. Fear isn't a stop sign, it's a signal. It points toward the parts of your life where growth is waiting. If something both scares and excites you, pay attention. That's where your potential is calling you forward. If everything feels safe and familiar all the time, you're probably not growing. Growth doesn't happen without fear. It happens when you move forward despite it. So stop waiting to feel fearless. That moment never comes. Learn to move with fear beside you, not behind it, not under it, but alongside it. Let it guide you, not trap you. Discipline isn't punishment. It isn't about being harsh with yourself or removing joy from your life. It's freedom. It's structure. It's the quiet strength of knowing you can rely on yourself no matter what's happening around you. When everything feels uncertain, discipline becomes your anchor. When you focus your mind, move your body even when you don't feel like it, and choose consistency over comfort, you're not restricting your life. You're expanding it. You're creating stability. You're telling yourself, I can handle this. And that trust creates peace. Motivation comes and goes. It's temporary. Discipline stays. It supports you when motivation fades. It reminds you that your worth isn't based on how you feel in a moment, but on the actions you take over time. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Treat your routines as something meaningful. Not perfect, not rigid, but intentional. Let them ground you. Because on the days when doubt returns, when everything feels unclear, when you forget who you are, those routines will remind you. They will say, I know who I am because I show up for myself. And that is what discipline truly is, a daily act of self-respect. You've waited long enough to feel ready. You've been waiting for the right mood, the perfect timing, some kind of signal from the outside that says, now you can start. But readiness doesn't just appear like that. It's something you build by moving forward, even when you feel uncertain. The truth is, you're already in the process of becoming, not in some loud, obvious way that everyone notices, but quietly, every single day. In the moments where you chose integrity over comfort, patience over reaction, effort over excuses. In every decision you made that no one applauded, the ones you didn't share, the ones you weren't even sure mattered, those are the ones shaping who you are. The version of you that feels confident, clear and steady isn't some distant idea waiting at the end. It already exists within you, waiting to be revealed. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. You don't need to turn into someone else. You need to stop avoiding who you already are at your most honest. That version of you is not far away. It's closer than you think, just one aligned choice away. One act of courage, one step in the direction you've been delaying. And the moment you stop underestimating that, the moment you realize growth is already happening within you, everything begins to shift. Not because the world suddenly changes, but because you do. You stop waiting for permission and start moving with intention. You begin to act like the person you've always had the potential to be. And once that shift happens, there's no returning to who you were before. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming every single day in ways that may go unseen, but will be understood by your future self. Keep moving forward. The quiet strength you're building right now will speak louder than anything you could ever say. If this connected with something real inside you, there's another video on your screen right now that goes even deeper. Let that be your next step. Thank you for being here.